China's legislature is officially backing a move to overhaul Hong Kong's electoral system. The body voted just hours ago to approve measures Beijing says will maintain security in the city. Critics, however, argue it's just another move by China to exert even more control. So Ramy Inocencio is following this from Beijing and joins us now to break it down. Ramy, can you explain how Hong Kong's government is currently organized and what will happen once these changes move forward?
Sure. Henry, the easiest way to understand this through the American lens is sort of like the conversation the U.S. had about stacking the Supreme Court. Basically, if you add seats, then you can nominate people who will follow your directive. Now, that's what has been passed at the National People's Congress just today, just a few hours ago. The idea here is that there would be a stacking of the committees to basically choose the chief executive, that's the top leader of Hong Kong, along with the legislative council. So what are the changes? The changes would be to the Chief Executive Commission, 1,200 delegates currently. That would rise by 300 to 1,500 people there. And as for the Legislative Council, currently that's 70 delegates, and that would rise to 90. Now, the interesting thing about the Legislative Council is that right now, for the 70 seats that still currently exist, 35 of those are directly elected. That usually leans pro-democratic. The other 35 are actually chosen by people who lean pro-Beijing. The idea here, though, is that if you add more seats, those are going to go to the pro-Beijing, pro-government camp. So, in effect, the pro-democracy opposition politicians will never, ever be able to even get to 50, let alone a majority.
So before these measures were approved, U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken spoke before a House committee hearing yesterday. And he was asked about Hong Kong, and I want to play some of what he had to say.
I think we've seen actions of deep concern in Hong Kong by Beijing. This is something that we have not only spoken out about, but also are taking action on. And I think there are a series of things that we've done, the previous administration did as well, and that we need to continue to follow through on.
So Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan are scheduled to meet with Chinese officials in Alaska next week. How will this latest move by Beijing impact U.S.-China relations?
Yeah, good question. It's almost as if once you thought that it would be as cold as it could get between the U.S. and China, but with what's happening in Hong Kong, it seems as if things could get even colder between the two countries. I mean, just for that statement alone, Antony Blinken coming out preemptively, knowing full well that this resolution would be passed by the NPC rubber stamp Congress here. The idea that things could get better, I think, is a dream that many people don't think is actually going to happen. Looking ahead, when Blinken does meet the foreign minister of China, Wang Yi, in Alaska, there probably will be some coldness there because, speaking for the White House, speaking for President Biden, he has said that he will take a hard line against China. And remember also, U.S. Politics, it is very much a bipartisan issue these days, regardless if you're a Republican or a Democrat, to come out swinging against China. And Biden, through the election and now as president, he said that he is not going to let up on pressure on China.
You know, Beijing has really been cracking down on Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement. You know, we saw these unbelievable protests for almost like a year, sort of ongoing. I'm sure the pandemic had a major impact on reducing those protests. People were not gathering in the streets anymore. But in addition, you know, Beijing has been arresting individuals, throwing them in jail. So I guess how is this latest move by Beijing being received? And, you know, what is the situation in Hong Kong now?
Sure. Well, the situation in Hong Kong, it's almost as if, on the surface now, almost as if the protests of 2019 never happened at all. Looking at the streets these days, it seems as if the city is very normal. But in speaking to people who live there, it's as if they have pushed their anger and their frustration down, so you can't see it, but there is still a palpable feeling that there's a bit of maybe a lost cause. There's fear, there's sadness. In addition, in terms of the population themselves, some people are actually leaving Hong Kong. The UK, the United Kingdom, has extended what's called a BNO citizenship, a British National Overseas Citizenship, to many people in the city. Now, by one calculation by the British government, they said that more than 5 million people are eligible to take advantage of that. And to put that into context, there are about 7.5 million people in Hong Kong. Now, that's not to say that all 5 million plus are going to take advantage of it, but there is that opportunity for that. So the people who are feeling the pressure, they're either keeping it inside themselves or they're leaving. But of course, there are pro-Beijing, pro-government people who are happy at this. Remember, Hong Kong is also an international financial capital. A lot of people who have vested interests monetarily are very happy to see the city, at least in their eyes, stabilize.
Yeah, you said the word stability is what a lot of people are looking for. Freedom for a lot of other people. Ramy, thank you very much.
Yeah.